Beat him to it. Gotcha. Hey, what's going on, guys? We are Orbital. I'm John Bose, and this is Rourke Segler.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Makes sense.
I was acting like you doing the John intro.
Oh, you did the whole thing?
Yeah, I was like acting like you.
See,
Okay.
I like that. Though.
Yeah.
Anyway. Welcome back, everybody! Another episode of Orbital. We got a lot to talk about. Rockets aren't in the playoffs anymore. Very sad. Moment of silence.
Debrief the season end.
They did all right. You know, Trevor Ariza proved we missed him early. Said, forget that dude. We're fine. And then come playoff time, we needed him again.
I don't know, because, I mean, last year when we had him in the playoff time, he went like 0 for 12 in Game 7. So,
But one game. It's one game.
I mean, it was the closeout game.
It's really more the off-the-ball stuff.
I mean, if Harden gets shit for going 2 for 13.
Yeah, you know. But, I mean, I think a lot of sports analysts gave the Rockets too much, like, I don't think we gave the Warriors enough credit. And I remember thinking prior to Game 6, I was like, you know what? Let's hold off a second.
Yeah, 7.5 favorites.
They're kind of harder to guard when KD's not there because they do a lot of ball movement, and you're seeing that especially in the Portland series right now. They do a lot of ball movement. That's harder to guard than, all right, we're just going to throw it into the post, mid-post KD, let him do his thing. Like, that's a little bit easier to guard. That's a slower offense, I would say. But I think as a whole, Rockets season's not, you know, got a lot of stuff you want to take care of. Got a lot of stuff you want to take care of in the offseason. And we're bringing it back. Call me crazy, Roy. Mike D'Antoni needs to be fired.
You're crazy.
No, because here's the thing, everybody. Mike D'Antoni's system doesn't win. Hasn't won in New York. Hasn't won in Los Angeles. Didn't win in Phoenix for the majority. I mean, you could say you won, but you didn't win a championship. You haven't won against the Rockets. And the Rockets have continuously struggled against the Warriors every single year. That's pretty much who eliminates them every single year, except for the year that San Antonio got them.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I got 2 words for it. 2 teams, actually. Lakers, Warriors, dynasties. That's the reason why the system didn't work with the Suns. That's the reason why the system doesn't work with the Rockets, because you're going up against the best team, arguably, in NBA history. How can you tell me the system doesn't work if it's made the Rockets the best team in the NBA in the season record last year? It put them in great position without for injuries, probably would have finished number 1 again this year. And we still have a chance to win the playoffs. It's tied 2-2. You can't tell me when the series is tied 2-2, the game's tied at the end of Game 5, you're in Oracle. The system, it wasn't going to push us over the edge. The system wasn't what was working. No, what wasn't working was the fact that, I guess the system was for people to make shots, and if people don't make shots, you're not going to win. Well, if people don't make shots, no system is going to fucking work, because it's not going to make... Look, you could say that system didn't get the best shots, but there was clear open threes that... Okay, James Harden and Chris Paul, they had good closeout games. Eric Gordon shot the ball terribly.
Yes.
PJ Tucker could shot a little better. I mean, it's still at the end of the game, Harden missed a couple shots, but overall Harden had a pretty solid game. Turned the ball over a little too much, but still went 35, 8, and 6, I think. So still had a solid game. Chris Paul had his best playoff performance. So we still got good shots, but at the end of the game, when the game was close, I mean, the Warriors, Curry took over, and I don't think that's the system accounting for Curry scoring 33 points in the second half. You're going to tell me Mike D'Antoni's isolation system doesn't win. I mean,
well, I will tell you this. I, personally, big fan of the Warriors offense. Mostly because it's predicated on motion, predicated on everyone touching the ball, everyone moving, pass, move, everyone crash for offensive rebounds. Like, that is basketball. The Rocket system is basketball, but it's almost like playing 2K. And you just keep spamming the same move every single time. Eventually, it works. It works. But if someone game plans for that one move, James Harden ISO, Chris Paul ISO, just shoot threes and get layups. You don't really allow a mid-range jump shot. You don't allow almost a little bit of improvisation. Everything has to be planned out on the Rockets offense. You know what I mean? I think that is where why the Rockets will inevitably never win a championship. And why Mike D'Antoni will never win a championship is because you're almost too heavy in the analytics in that. What do you say to that?
I'd say that improvising works if you've got like the best shooters in NBA history on the Warriors and being able to make plays like that. But I think whenever you run some sort of set or some sort of offense where people like San Antonio, the players were very mature. Tony Parker, Manu can really control the game, especially Tim Duncan. They can really slow the pace down. So in instances like that, it's like ball movement definitely really helps. And I would say ball movement in general is going to get more players feeling more comfortable, therefore playing better, making teams better. But whenever you're just running a set, passing the ball around a lot, you're not guaranteed. Like the Rockets playing good defense, people are moving, communicating, going off screens, pick and rolls, whatever. We just gave them up too many open shots at the end. But if you can control, keeping people in front of you whenever people are running some sort of like pass-heavy offense, then I think the shot clock it's a real thing in the NBA, and they're forced to take a lot of shots. We see the Warriors, we force Warriors to take some bad shots at the end of the shot clock too, but obviously us too. It happens with any offense. But the difference between the isolation is the point is for Harden, take your best playmaker to be able to just put him in a one-on-one scenario, be able to break his opponent down and force him, which every team has to do, to send some sort of help or some sort of thing, and then you use that as your advantage. Because usually when you're doing this improvised set that you're running, it ends up, on some screen coming off or some pass coming off, it ends up someone has to help or someone, jumps on a pump fake and then, they get a step. And so that's how they create their step. But in the isolation, it's just one player going straight at it. So in my eyes, I think the isolation is more guaranteed if you have a prominent player. Problem is James Harden can fade at times. No, I didn't think he really did this series. I think he played really well against Warriors, especially after his eye injury. But being able to just set the play up to where you have a mismatch pretty much with James Harden on anybody, and then breaking it down like that, forcing help, and then you have a guaranteed play. Problem is we don't have enough good shooters to wherever we broke it down. Harold Gordon wasn't hitting his threes at the end. Joe Green, Amon Shumpert, we were begging for someone else to hit shots in the fourth quarter to close out the Warriors. And so at the end of the day, the isolation system is not going to work if your main player isn't able to create good shots. But I think James Harden did create good shots. We just weren't able to make them, and that's been the unfortunate series of events against the Warriors, and you can't beat the best team in the NBA like that. It doesn't matter what offense you're running.
I think that's the point I'm trying to get at. You're not going to beat the Warriors with the isolation. You'll beat everybody
I don't think
else.
you're going to beat them in the pass offense. I think the isolation is their best move because I think they should run the isolation quicker. So it's harder because Harden, he's tired, plays a lot of the game, tries to slow it down a little bit. But in the beginning of the series, they were letting Gordon, they're outletting Gordon pretty quick, and then Gordon almost had an ISO situation against Curry or whoever was on him, and he was able to attack early in the series and score a lot, and so he became that kind of X factor everyone was talking about. And so for him to be able to break down, move quickly, try to break down the defense quicker in the shot clock is going to be better for that style of offense. But the Rockets, I still think they played well. It's just unfortunate that we weren't able to hit those shots and be pretty clutch. I think James Harden could have closed out the game better in Game 5, but I really don't think he should take much blame for how the series unfolded towards the end. Especially, he still averaged his regular season numbers. His turnovers are a little higher, but that's bound to happen. So, overall, sorry, I'm bummed out. Have been avoiding conversations talking about the Rockets, but moving forward, I definitely do not think changing the system or mixing things up is the way to go, because you're right there. You put yourself in positions to beat the best team in NBA history. Put yourself in position to get to the NBA Finals 2 years in a row. We would have mocked the Trailblazers if we beat the Warriors. It wouldn't have been a question. So to be in a position where you're up 3-2. And then it's tied 2-2, and it's like you have the position you want. It's like the one guy that's been killing you the whole series pulls up on his cap. It seems like almost perfect. The guy, their second best player, is scored 0 points that whole half, and then it's like we just, it's not even like we just let him win, but Curry did make some insane shots to close out that game.
No, there's plenty of shots. Shots.
So. PJ Tucker had a really good closeout on him, and then that last sidestep three. It's hard
too.
It's hard. Yeah, Clay had the dagger, and so you're not going to be able to win every time. If, you have the Warriors' best team making those kind of game-winning closeout shots. We see that in the Trailblazers series last night with Game 2, them able to hit those clutch shots at the end, and the Trailblazers kind of flaming out like the Rockets in Game 6 and 14.
Well, here's my thing. I'm going to end my point on firing Mike D'Antoni. He does have a year left on his contract, so maybe you do give it one more year. And then you say, all right,
reassess Chris Paul, reassess D'Antoni, maybe.
Well, who? Biggest question when you ask and you say, I think this coach should be fired, is who's going to replace him. I'm a big Mark Jackson guy.
Yeah, I like Mark Jackson.
And I think he's had experience with the Warriors. He's had experience with star backcourts. That's what we have right now, Chris Paul, James Harden. I think he needs time to refresh the system. I've always been a big proponent that if you give James Harden to another team, he would do better than he is doing with the Rockets. I think because other teams would use him differently would not make him isolate so much, even though that he's great at that. He's probably the best ISO player in the league. But I think to get the most out of him, you need him to be fresh come playoff time. He is a big-time player.
He's pretty fresh. I don't think he was, like, fatigued.
Well, he did great, but what I'm saying is ISOing every single time down gets exhausting.
But that's the whole... But, I mean, that's the whole reason is that's how he is efficient, is to be able to...
But as his fatigue goes down, he still stays here.
You're saying he would be better of not touching the ball as much and getting less looks of control of the ball.
But the point is, even though his fatigue is going down, his efficiency is still here, right? Now imagine if his fatigue was still up here, his efficiency would probably go even higher if he was actually well rested.
I think he's well rested. I mean, sure, you can make that argument for any player.
I mean,
but
one of the best.
I would say someone like LeBron James, you see with Cleveland Cavaliers. At the end of the day, you're going to get the best shots if you just if you know you have someone like a LeBron or like a James Harden or someone that you know can take their player one-on-one, MJ, Kobe. We see this, throughout history with legends in the NBA. If you're able to break down, spread the floor, give yourself the most space to be able to break down your player, and then A, you either score on your player, or B, you're going to end up forcing some sort of help, and then that breaks down the defense to be able to get someone else open. So the only bad thing I do say about it is the main player doing it can get fatigued, like with Harden, but I didn't see that in this series. And the second thing is it can kind of keep the other players, it doesn't get them in a flow theoretically, and I think that's we saw that with Trevor Ariza last year, we see that with Eric Gordon this year, but who knows if they still got looks. I mean,
that's why I think my biggest thing
like
is
you get at the end.
I want all the players to be getting in a role.
Yeah.
I want PJ Tucker to get in a role. Like what they said with going Draymond Green early in game 1 to get him going. If you have PJ Tucker, he's supposed to be our Draymond Green.
But if players don't hit shots, then you're going to get blown out by 30 points.
Yes, that boils down to that. But I think the system doesn't allow them
When
to
Harden doesn't take a lot of shots, when he doesn't control all the offense, when he disappears a little bit, that's when the Rockets get completely destroyed. That's when we got destroyed by San Antonio, when Harden only attempted 10 shots.
Okay.
And that's when we got completely, he only shot, I don't know how many shots he shot in Game 7 last year, but I know it was definitely under 20.
Sure.
And, he's averaging like 25. He was 2 for 13 from 3.
Okay.
So I do remember that, but...
All right, well, let's that's my take. I'm a big Mark Jackson
Give
guy.
D'Antoni another year for sure. We'll see. Hopefully Chris Paul still got a little pep in his step at the end of next year. We can run it back. I think the game plan, run it back, develop Daniel House. He's going to be huge if he can shoot the ball well next year.
Well, you say run it back. You say run it back. Let's talk about some people on the Rockets roster.
Yeah.
Eric Gordon.
Yeah.
I want to trade him.
Well, only if you're going to get... Remember, we've been talking about the possibility of getting Jimmy Butler this year. We can't do it with any sort of way that we have cap space available, especially once a max contract. But if you were to re-sign theoretically with Philly and then trade like we did for Chris Paul, we could, include like an Eric Gordon. So in a situation like that, sure. But mainly I think Eric Gordon is, unless we get a better scoring threat than him in return, then I definitely think that we need him in that scoring presence, that ability for someone to be a playmaker, because you saw in the playoffs, and when the games matter, you need that impact from a player like Eric Gordon. If you don't have that third presence, then your James Harden, Chris Paul can go off, but you're still not going to be able to win the game. So you need to have that X factor, that third guy. I was watching First Things First a couple days ago, and Nick Wright was talking about how they need a more of a front court star, actually. Someone that not just a Capella that's able to throw down lobs, but someone that can, as a power forward, shoot a little bit better, because Capella, he's not going to, he's only going to roll in the shoe. He's not going to be able to actually pop or take a shot.
Blake
so yeah, like Blake Griffin, yeah, or I would almost say almost a better shooting version of Kenneth Faried, but he's still almost dominant like Capella. More someone like that can create like a worse version of Jokic. Theoretically, sure. That could create offense for other players too. So it's not just on James Harden, Chris Paul, and so because when we run that offense and you run that pick and roll in the ISO, it's only going to be that guy running the that's running with the ball, like Chris Paul or Harden, that's going to create the offense. Whereas if now instead your big man, he's not going to roll every time. He might get the shot. Now you have to not only guard the shot, but then you kick it to him. And then if he's able to do something like a Draymond Green's perfect, you see this all the time with Warriors, he's able to make so many passes, cuts, and they're able to do more stuff with their offense. Whereas, James Harden, Chris Paul, if they're not shooting it, they know they have to make the pass to the person that's going to take the shot.
Absolutely. I'm also big on Jimmy Butler. And the Rockets apparently have the second best odds at getting him. What do you think a trade for him would look like? I mean, you send Chris Paul. You got to send Chris Paul.
Yeah, he would have to re-sign since he's a free agent, and then we would have to trade for him.
Do you think Chris Paul, Eric Gordon,
we'd have to pick up that Solomon Hill, contract. They probably still wouldn't even do that. They're not going to. Oh, sorry, who's the Sixers have that? They have that huge contract. They have somebody. I can figure that right now. But anyway, yeah. So
you have to take a lot back.
You're gonna have to make up a lot of cap salary. If you're, and I don't think you deal Chris Paul because I don't think the Sixers are gonna want to have Paul and Simmons. But unless theoretically you have the craziest offseason ever where you end up trading Simmons for LeBron and something, and then you get Chris Paul, like the Sixers get Chris Paul, LeBron, and Joel Embiid.
And D-Wade goes out retirement.
And
Carmelo Anthony. Dude, it's happening. Banana Boat's happening.
The Sixers, my favorite team. So no, overall for the Rockets, debrief did okay, but moving forward, I definitely think keep this momentum of running it back. I would not
fire Mike D'Antoni.
Type of stuff.
Mark Jackson all the way.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Anyway.